It was the middle of the night when Sophie woke up to an eerie silence. Her daughter Lily should have been sleeping soundly in the crib next to her, stirring occasionally for a midnight feed. Yet there was nothing but unsettling quiet. Sophie sat up in bed, her heart pounding. Had Lily somehow managed to escape from the safety of her crib? The thought was preposterous. Lily was only 3 months old. Sophie got out of bed and tiptoed to the nursery, each step echoing her racing thoughts. As she pushed open the door, her eyes widened in horror. The crib was empty. A cold dread gripped her, seeping into her bones. Sophie rushed to the window. The glass was cold against her palms as she frantically searched for her baby, calling out her name. When Lily didn't answer, panic surged through Sophie. She turned and ran to her husband, Daniel, who was fast asleep. "Daniel, wake up," she cried, her voice laced with terror. "The crib, it's empty. Where's Lily?" Daniel jolted awake, his eyes filled with confusion. He looked at Sophie, then toward the door, his face draining of color. Sophie couldn't speak. She just pointed to the nursery, her body trembling with fear. Together, they raced to the nursery. Daniel knelt by the crib, his hands shaking as he lifted the blanket. It was empty. The room seemed to close in on him, the walls pressing in, suffocating him. "Lily," he whispered, his voice hoarse with panic. He stood up, his gaze wild. "Where is she? Where could she be?" Sophie sank to the floor, tears streaming down her face. She couldn't stop crying. "I don't know," she sobbed. "I fed her just hours ago. She was right here." Daniel pulled her into a tight embrace, his body rigid with fear. "Don't cry, Sophie. We'll find her, I promise." He held her for a moment, trying to comfort her, but there was nothing to say, no words that could ease her pain, no promises that could bring their daughter back. In the face of this nightmare, they were helpless. As minutes ticked by, their fear grew. Sophie looked at Daniel, his face ashen, his eyes filled with a terror that mirrored her own. She knew they had to do something, but what? The police wouldn't take a missing persons report. Lily was just a baby. She couldn't have gone far. Suddenly, Daniel straightened. "The hospital," he said, his voice tight. "I need to call the hospital." He dialed the number, his hands shaking so badly that Sophie could see the screen illuminating his trembling fingers. The phone was placed on speaker, and the room was filled with worried silence as the call connected. "Hello, is this Mr. Daniel Hayes?" The calm voice on the other end made Daniel jump. "Yes, it's me. Are you sure?" "Positive, thank you." Daniel hung up the phone, his face ashen. He turned to Sophie, his eyes filled with a mixture of fear and sadness. "They called me last night," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "They told me." He hesitated, unable to bring himself to say the words. "Tell me what?" Sophie whispered, her eyes pleading for answers. Daniel took a deep breath, bracing himself for the pain of the words he was about to speak. "They told me Lily isn't ours," he said, his voice cracking. "She's not our daughter," Sophie gasped, her mind reeling. "What?" she whispered. "How? Why?" Daniel shook his head, tears welling up in his eyes. "I don't know," he whispered. "The test results from the DNA test we did when she was born. They say she isn't related to me or you, that she was switched at birth." The world seemed to tilt on its axis. Sophie felt like she was being pulled into a vortex of despair. "No," she whispered, the word catching in her throat. "That's impossible. She's our daughter. I gave birth to her. I raised her. She's mine." She looked at Daniel, his face etched with pain, his eyes filled with unshed tears. "Is this real?" she whispered, her voice breaking. Is Lily really not our daughter? Daniel reached out, his hand hovering over hers. He wanted to touch her, to tell her everything would be all right. But how could he, when his own heart was shattering into 1,000 pieces?